Welcome everyone to this event. We're going to ask you to grab any food you'd like, take a seat, and we'll begin the program. Fantastic, wow. Welcome to the 2022 Helping Hands event. We call this event Helping Hands because it's our chance to bring back our grant recipients and lend them a helping hand, both through fulfilling their wish lists, which we saw a lot of collections out front fulfilling their wish lists, and hearing an update on their journeys. At Impact 100, our mission is to fund transformative, sustainable grants that will create a lasting impact for our community. That lasting impact extends far beyond the initial grant. Our finalists tell us the grant application helps them evaluate strategy, and the exposure of presenting to over 400 philanthropic women in our community creates connections that extend far beyond a one-time grant. For me, tonight reminds me to extend that helping hand, not only during the holiday season, but throughout the year to our community. Tonight, you will hear the exciting benefits of an Impact 100 membership from our membership team. You will hear the many reasons to become a member and how to get more involved. You will hear from our grant directors on how to get involved with the grants committee. And finally, you'll hear from our 2022 grant recipients with an update on their journey and all the wonderful work being done to build a greater Milwaukee community. A special thanks to our Helping Hands sponsors, JP Morgan Private Banking and Strategic Wealth Partners. And thank you to our in-kind sponsor, 1111. Let's give them a round of applause. Another huge thank you to all of our Impact 100 members on the events and programming team for tonight's event, including Betsy Yost, Maureen Kenfield, Julie Sellers, Carla Cummings, and Renee Mannion, and all of the dedicated volunteers putting together this festive event. Let's give them a round of applause. Now I will turn it over to our grant directors, Ann Shoemaker and Beth Coomer.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ann Shoemaker. This is Beth Coomer. We are your 2023 grant co-directors. And tonight we are very, very happy to have all 5 finalists of Impact 100 Milwaukee's 2022 group. But before we hear from each of them, we would like to make sure all of you, especially any new members who are here tonight, we want to make sure that you have the information. You will need to join one of our 5 grant committees.
Yes, so on the screen shortly, you will see our 5 grant committee focus areas, the chairperson and meeting dates for the upcoming cycle. But don't worry, oh, there it is. You're going to see this a lot more in your Impact 100 communications coming to you later this month. But the important date I want you to see tonight is the committee sign-up, January 5th through the 13th. It's a small window this year, and it starts January 5th, so that is when you're going to want to register to be on a grant committee. Ann and I both sincerely hope you'll consider joining one this year. As you can see, the commitment runs from January through April, and it culminates with our annual award celebration in June. This year, Chris Anderson and Pam Klein will be returning to chair our family and health and wellness focus areas, while Amy Berry and Bonnie Tesh will join us to take on education and environment and revitalization. Julie Barris, who served as our financial review chair the past few years, will lead the Arts and Culture Committee. Please feel free to ask any of us if you have any questions about grants tonight or in the future.
Last year's committee chairs are here tonight to introduce their grant recipients. We want to thank all 5 women for leading a focus group. You all did a really, really good job. And if any of your committee members are here tonight, which I'm sure they are, they can attest to that. Now it's time to get caught up with our 2022 grant recipients. So Julie Barris will start us off.
Thank you, Ann. Good evening. I am Julie Barris, and for the past 2 years have served as actually the financial review chair for the grants team. I just wanted to talk a little bit about being a grant member. I joined Impact 100 in its 2nd year and have served on a grant committee or the grants team every year since I have joined. Different committees, education, health and wellness, family, and this year I'll be chairing the Arts and Culture Grant Committee. I have found that learning about the many nonprofit organizations in the greater Milwaukee area is so rewarding and eye-opening. Being on a grant committee and learning about these organizations and their mission and passion for helping our community is a great experience. And the added benefit is you get to meet some awesome women who you might not otherwise cross paths with in your life. So I highly recommend and encourage you to get involved in a grant committee. Last year's family committee chair, Chris Anderson, could not be with us this evening for work commitment. But if there are any members of our 2022 family committee, could they please stand and be recognized? Our finalist for the family committee was Advocates of Ozaki. Their project was to complete the remodeling of their shelter facility by adding a new playground for the children, completing the children's center for homework and computer space, building out a new exercise area for the mothers, and adding a pet kennel so families could bring their beloved pets to the shelter. Here's their video.
How are y'all feeling with Advocates of Ozaki?
Overwhelmed,
Yes.
excited, amazed, shocked, grateful.
You've obviously been doing a lot of hard work and helping people get out of horrible situations, but there was a gap. And so what will this money do for you?
It'll fill that gap. It'll help us to do the things that we really need to do to make sure that people stay survivors and stay out of abusive relationships once they've gotten out in the first place.
You're going to make it feel like home by bringing in the kids, having them have people to take care of them, even the puppies and the kitties or whatever.
47% of women don't leave because they can't take their pet with them. So this really is going to make a huge difference in women coming into shelter.
We learned a lot from you tonight. Tell me what you learned from the Impact 100 process.
I learned just how far shared philanthropy can go. I learned about a whole bunch of new nonprofits that I can send clients to and that we can collaborate with in the future. And I just met a lot of exciting women tonight and ate great food.
Excellent. Any chance you'd like to look in the camera and thank some organization tonight?
Yes, yours. Thank you, Impact 100!
And now please welcome Barb Fisher, the Executive Director of Advocates of Ozaki. We have
an exec committee meeting next week, and I think the first thing I'm going to do is ask them to change their name so I'm not always first. Ozaki Advocates, I think that sounds really good. I don't have a lot to share on the project because we just hired the architect, but I do have one piece of really exciting news, and that is the way that they've redesigned what I thought was a good design, but they made it much, much better. There's going to be a kind of a walkout basement type area where we can put the exercise room rather than in the basement that we thought we were going to be able to put it in. So there'll be a really nice new area for that exercise room rather than the other area that we thought we were going to be able to put it in. And as a result of that, we can make the kennel bigger than we thought we could. So there's the update on that. I just want to talk a little bit about advocates tonight. We have really 4 pillars that we work with and try to make sure that we hit with everybody who comes in. And our 4 pillars start with awareness. Really try to get awareness out to everybody, especially living in Ozaukee County and being in Ozaukee County and some of the surrounding counties. People don't think that domestic violence happens there. It does. They don't think sexual assault happens there or human trafficking, but it does. And our 700 and some clients that we saw last year are absolute proof of that. It doesn't happen any differently than it happens in the city of Milwaukee. It doesn't happen any differently than it happens in Green Bay or any place else in the country. I can guarantee each one of you in here knows someone who's been in a domestic violence or sexual assault situation. It's 1 in 3 women. That's just too many for you not to know somebody. You may not know that you know somebody, but you do. So awareness is really one of the big programs that we have. And we don't just get the awareness out to children or to adults. We also work with children in the schools. So working with those kids in the schools, we start out with bullying and that kind of thing in the grade schools. Then we start talking about healthy relationships with kids in middle school. And in high school, we talk a lot about sexual harassment. Excuse me. Our second pillar is advocacy. And advocacy really comes in many different ways. There's legal advocacy. We have a legal advocate. There's personal advocacy. There's systems advocacy. People always ask us what that is. That's trying to make the systems that are set up to help people who are victims work for the victims, because they don't always work the way they're supposed to work. And so we have staff members who work with in the systems to make sure that they're working for the victims the way they're supposed to work. Safety. Safety is a huge concern for women and men who are leaving difficult situations. You're at the most dangerous time is when you decide to leave, because at that point, the perpetrator is losing control. And when they lose control is when they really go out of control. So if you know somebody who's in a situation and they say, I want to leave, make sure they talk to somebody who can help them get a safety plan in place and really make sure that they have something in place so that they aren't in a dangerous situation. Legal. We did a study, and one of those gaps was legal situation. We had many people who came back to us and said, you know, it would be nice if you could help us with more legal stuff. We really need help with more legal stuff. Legal's a really hard one to get funding for, but we decided we're going to give it a try. We hired someone and we made her a legal and something else advocate, because we thought, she's never going to be that busy. There's just no way she's going to be that busy. This poor woman runs herself ragged. I can see Jean laughing, yeah. It's just, she is so busy every day with restraining orders. They recently passed a law in the state that our legal advocate can accompany people to court and sit with them in court. So picture you've got a perpetrator over here or an abuser, the lawyer for that person, and then on the other side, you've got the victim who usually can't afford a lawyer. So our advocate can sit between that person and the perpetrator, just giving them some space, giving them a little bit of feeling of safety. Our legal advocate does so much work every year. And she recently had a client say to her, I can never thank you enough for the continued support and for fighting for me. I truly appreciate all that you do for me. and my kids. They're in such a better place, and they're starting to enjoy life again. It doesn't get much better than that. So thank you all so much for supporting us.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sandy Dunstan. I was the chair of the Health and Wellness Committee last year. And I'd like to start by asking if any of my committee members are here tonight. Could you please stand? I know you're there. Thanks so much. Our finalist was the Benedict Center. And the project that the Benedict Center submitted to Impact 100 was the Bridge Program. And what it did was a request to fund 2 certified peer specialists. And these are women that would help women in the criminal justice system transition back into the community. So I'd like you to welcome from the Benedict Center tonight, Jean Garacci and Julia May. Jean, Executive Director, Julia May, Bridge Case Manager.
Good evening, and thank you. This means so much. We are going to be able to hire 2 graduates from the Benedict Center and give them the opportunity that they have asked for to be able to reach back and help other women find that road to recovery. It's transformational.
This experience of going through the Impact 100, I guess, you know, you had to do interviews, you had to show them your books, you had to really prove yourself to some wonderful ladies who put in a lot of time.
It is a great process. We get to meet a lot of wonderful women along the way. It really helps us refine and understand what it is that we're going for. And most of all, I've gotten to know these 2 incredible women who prepared, and I wouldn't have gotten to know them as well if we hadn't been practicing our speeches all along. So very grateful.
Excellent. So you're feeling pretty good right now?
Yes.
One request, if you wouldn't mind, all of you sort of just giving Impact 100 a thank you and look into the camera.
Thank you, Impact 100!
Anything else you want to add?
Thank you, Impact 100!
Thank you. I hadn't seen that before. I have finally caught my breath from the excitement of that night. Are there slides, or should we just, yep, coming up. Oh, you have the clicker. I do. How great. So for those of you who are not members of Impact 100 but considering it, I encourage you and want to just introduce the Benedict Center as Milwaukee's leading advocate and service provider for women in the criminal justice system. And what I was thinking about, what I wanted to share with you all tonight is that if you peel back that layer of criminal justice or criminal history, what you find are women who have largely been victimized by violence, so not unlike the women served in Ozaukee County. And they are women who often have mental health issues, have substance use issues, have these underlying needs. And that's where we specialize with behavioral health, with the case management, with the wraparound services to help women really be able to turn their lives around and live safer and healthier lives. And so we are so excited to be adding the Bridge Project and hiring our first certified peer specialists. Certified peer specialists is quickly becoming a best practice in the mental health and substance use recovery field. They use their lived experience and the training that they receive in order to help others follow in their successful footsteps, if you will. So I want to share with you where we've been and what's happening. So in July, we hired our first Bridge case manager. So we needed who will be the supervisor and support for the peer specialists. And this is Julia May, our Bridge case manager. Julia's not your average case manager. She actually, I don't know that you started your career, but at one point in your career, you were a public defender with the state of Wisconsin, and then became a longtime volunteer of the Benedict Center, and then you applied for this position. Sure did. And you've been busy ever since. So I'm going to let Julia take over and just give an update on where we are.
Sure. So as a public defender, I would be sitting by my client and they would be sentenced, and then what happens? So this new role that I have is all of the, so now what happens? And I absolutely love it, and thank you for your help with this. We have been working on the Bridge program, which was helping, we have our Sisters program, which is for people that are engaged with street-based prostitution, both on the north and the south side. We also have women that are at the House of Correction getting counseling there, and then our Women's Harm Reduction program, which is on MLK. My role is that I'm bouncing around to all of these different facilities to make seamless transitions. So the women that are currently at the House of Correction, I visit them every Tuesday. I introduce myself within the women's dorm. I answer any legal questions they have. They don't know that I'm a lawyer, but they know that I know a lot, so it works out. But it's things like you only have 15 minutes to meet with your attorney when you're going to meet with the public defender. Let's make sure that those 15 minutes count. I'll answer your little questions, but I'm going to help you formulate a plan so that you can advocate for yourself and really empower the women to stand up for themselves and understand what their rights are and to ask for them. We also have been doing different classes within the Women's Harm Reduction program. I run an employment class, which I am incredibly proud about. We've been working with Employ Milwaukee. So our clients, it's a 6-week class to teach soft skills of getting jobs. So when you are walking into an interview, how you present yourself matters, explaining to them eye contact, the way that they appear, the way that they set their cell phones aside, simple things like that that we may take for granted. But when I'm at this picture right here was me at a job fair, and I was picking the brain of everyone there of what are you seeing in interviews that's not working, and then teaching the women how to fix those problems. We have worked with Employ Milwaukee, so we're able to pay our clients $10 an hour to take those classes. So it's really incentivizing them for their time to focus and get the work done. We also had a wonderful donation from Spectrum for Chromebooks. So when the clients are in our class, they're able to use a Chromebook. It's their own Chromebook, and at the end of the class, once they've completed the 6 courses, they get to take it home with them. So the digital literacy, it's incredibly important. Some of the clients walk in and they have inappropriate email addresses. They don't know how to type. They don't know how to use Indeed. They don't know how to use a flash drive and upload their resume. They don't have a resume. So all of those kind of things are the skills that we're working on. And like I said, we are also working then with job searches. So the Employ Milwaukee, we then, at the end of the 6 weeks, give them back to Employ Milwaukee where they can get them into jobs that are willing to accept people with criminal histories, and then also help them so that they can get different paid job training and skills like CNA work. We have someone who's applying to get a forklift certificate, things like that. So it's been a really successful program so far, and I'm very excited to continue it. So the bridging to recovery and beyond, we have had a lot of clients that have been really successful. One of our clients, she started out with our Sisters program. She was working with them for about 7 years between periods of incarceration and being out in the community while she was engaged in sex-based trafficking. She was referred over to the Harm Reduction as our first Bridge client, and she has been an incredible success story. She has been doing our workshops that we have for employment. She's in an AODA class, a mental health class, and she is feeling like she is part of a sense of like a community. She's feeling really empowered with all of the counseling that she's done. She now has a full-time job. It's not the job that she wants to keep forever, but she signed up for our employment class in January so that she can get the skills to get the next job, but she's got her foot in the door. She recently got married. She's pregnant. She's got the connections to the community that she needs so that she can keep doing well. So it's stories like that that have been really working well and we're really proud of. We are in the process of hiring our first peer mentor. I will be their supervisor. We're really excited. We've been educating our staff on what exactly peer mentors mean, what the kind of roles that they'll be doing. Our clients are aware that we will be getting one soon. They're very excited to have someone to communicate with that has that lived experience. I can talk to them all day, but I don't have the same background that they do. So when they're actually with someone who has that background, it's going to be helpful for them. going to doctor's appointments, going to apartments to look to see if it's appropriate to rent. All of those different things that a peer mentor can do, walking. We have people in our lives that can go to those important appointments with us. Not all of our clients do. So the peer mentor is going to be someone that can help them through those times of need and really show them, this is how it's done. You've got this. And then eventually they may become our peer mentors in the future. So just continuously working.
So thank you so much. I suspect we've gone over time, so I just want to say thank you. She's an attorney, y'all. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Pam Klein, and I was chair of the Education Committee last year. I had a fabulous experience with our group of women on our committee, and I would like to ask anybody who was on the Education Committee last year if you'd please stand up and be recognized. Good to see you guys here. The Education Committee's 2022 finalist was the Hope Street Ministry, which is an organization that has operated in Milwaukee for 22 years, providing transformational housing and programming to people who have been affected by trauma in their lives, such as abuse and addiction and other sorts of trauma. Their project was an amazing addition to Capitol Drive, the Shechem Community Center. It's located on 26th Street and Capitol. And our grant supported the construction of 2 classrooms within their community center. And this space is also adjacent to their transitional housing building. It is like a star shining right now there on Capitol Drive. So let's look at their video.
So we are going to use this money towards Shechem at Hope Street, which is a community center we're building, and this will go specifically to the after-school youth programming that we're going to offer.
I do have one suggestion. I think you should at least get Capitol Drive or 27th Street, is that right?
26th.
26th Street turned into Hope Street. You ought to have the name changed
I
to the
think
street.
you're right.
Yeah,
Although there
absolutely.
happens to be a Hope Street like directly behind us. We're just on the wrong
Okay,
street.
all right, that's okay, that's all right. Now, you told an amazing story about how you met a woman who changed your life. That's your inspiration.
Yeah, and all the people that are there and all the people that we get to interact with on a day-to-day basis. It's the people that make all the difference.
And your experience with Impact 100, how did it go?
It's been amazing. Everyone here has been super supportive and just super helpful, even leading up to this night and making sure we had everything that we needed. And being here tonight has just been a blast.
All right, so how about a thank you to Impact 100 from Hope Street?
Absolutely.
We are loud and clear, in the camera, straight on.
Thank you, Impact 100.
That was one voice. How about more?
I'll do everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please welcome Brooke Thomas, Director of Community Relations, and Rhonda Norton, Ministry Director for Hope Street.
I'm just going to start off by saying I am not Ashley. If any of you guys were at the award show, you would have seen she was very pregnant. She did have her baby, and she had a baby boy. But I am her sister, so we look alike, and it gets confusing. But thank you all for being here. As was just said, my name is Brooke Thomas, and I'm our Director of Community Relations. And I'm here with Rhonda, who's our Ministry Director. There we go. I didn't know if I was going to do that correctly. So just a little bit about us. So Hope Street provides housing and healing for men, women, and children coming out of different forms of brokenness. So initially we had our housing component, which we still have, and there's 24 apartment units for men, women, and children to move into. And we're pretty excited to say that now for about 3 months, we have had Shechem open, which is located right next door to our current building. And here, we're able to be open to the greater community. So within this space, there's classrooms, there's a gym, a resource center just for anyone to have access to. And I'm going to have Rhonda here go in a little bit more detail about our members.
So let me start by saying thank you very much. Shechem is a great blessing for Capitol Drive and for that community. Currently, we have 416 members. As you can see, the majority are between the ages of 18 and 25. So our gym that we built gets a lot of use on a daily. It is also a blessing for my son, who I'm sure in one of the videos that you watched was talking about how his mom wanted him to feel protected and he would be glad when Shechem was built. So now it's built, and we offer this safe place, this beautiful place for children, grown people, older people, to be able to come, relax, be who they are, play basketball, eat a snack, define your computer skills, and just enjoy life with staff and with other people in the community. Couple of things. So we have a couple of members, well, a lot of members that come to see us every day after school, because we have an after-school program as well. But a lot of our children, old and younger, come to see us every day because they feel safe. And we have a lot of the children that come and say thank you to us, first of all, for this building being on Capitol Drive, because we are changing their lives a little bit at a time on a daily. So I just want to thank y'all for that.
Just a couple kind of practical ways. I know oftentimes people will reach out and just ask, like, how else can I get involved? And so up on the screen, I won't go into too much detail on them because I know you guys can see them, but there's three really practical, easy ways to get involved, and a few of them are really family friendly as well. That first one up there is our Serve Saturday. So every second Saturday of the month, we have this 3-hour window where individuals, families, get a group of friends together. You can just come in and help us in a few different ways. Sometimes that's cleaning our common spaces. Sounds really boring, but it's super helpful for us, especially now with this brand new big building that's got 400 people coming in. Just being able to disinfect spaces, and then same thing within our Hope Street, our housing component. Sometimes individuals are moving out, and so we could use some support there just with cleaning that apartment for a new family or individual to move into, and then sometimes a variety of other tasks, but that's pretty much usually what you're doing during that time frame. We have this kind of fun concept of a community cantina. So at Hope Street, now just 2 times a month, we have a mandatory meeting for our members that live in our housing component. And so this is an opportunity for individuals that are a part of our greater community to just come in, enter, and just be in community with those that are living in the building. So a lot of times people will come in, they'll bring some food, maybe bring a game, maybe they have something that they'd like to share. But again, just kind of a fun opportunity to just come and be with people. And that we've actually been having now at Shechem, because then you've got access to a gym, lots of space in the different classroom spaces. So those cantinas can kind of just honestly be made the way you want them to be. And again, just like being with one another. And then lastly up there is our after-school programming time. So I know that was mentioned. So we kind of said that our after-school programming time is 3 to 5, but we've found that most of the time kids are kind of coming after school and they're not leaving until we're closing. So with that being said, our after-school programming time is really like 3 to 7. But so kind of a fun thing, like honestly, we've just encouraged people to come and be. Maybe you're willing to help with homework. maybe you're just willing to come play a game with kids, and that's awesome. We just really appreciate people being present in the space. Because again, just like we really just enjoy being in community with one another, and that's a really practical, easy way to do just that.
So up top, we have Zyteria. Zyteria is one of our younger kids who loves Shechem to the point where we see her every day. Zyteria loves to play games, she loves to be in community, and she loves to help other people. Then we have Josh and Savannah, who come every day just about, who also love to be in community and play games and be in the gym, and also like to have us to help them with their homework as well.
All right, really quickly, we just have one more video that we want to show you guys, and then I know we're kind of going long, sorry.
As mayor of the city of Milwaukee, I can say today is one of the reasons that this whole community can be proud. And Shechem is a wonderful addition to Hope Street by providing more resources, not just to the surrounding community, but to the city of Milwaukee as a whole. And I'm proud, I really am proud to be a part of this moment. Ladies and gentlemen, Shechem is here.
There have been ups and downs, starts and stops, tears and laughter, and lots of opportunities to be stretched. A sincere and strong faith in our Father, in this community, and in this project has kept us going. Today, we stand in this beautiful building that is the culmination of so many people's time, talents, and treasure. I want to honor the people who have made it possible, because after all, what good is a building if there are no people? To the Garden Homes community and the whole city of Milwaukee, this space is for you. Our hope is that when you see it, you are reminded of the inherent dignity and worth that our Father has bestowed upon you. We hope you feel trusted, loved, and encouraged. Welcome to Shechem, a refuge, a safe place for you and I to grow and flourish.
Awesome. So thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sue Connor, and I was the chair of the Environment and Revitalization Committee this past year's. And if anybody is here from my committee, would you please stand to be recognized? Thank you. I met new women on the committee, which was enhanced my life, and I really enjoyed the work that we did. Our finalist was the Victory Garden Initiative, and their project was called the Homestead Project. This project is taking place in Victory Garden's urban farm in the Harambee neighborhood. They are installing a robust, sustainable rainwater system, as well as installing ADA access ramps to their farm, which will vastly improve accessibility to all those interested in participating in the urban farm work. In addition, the ADA access will allow Victory Gardens to utilize city services that have not been available to them previously. If we take a look at the video, we'll get a little better picture.
What will you do with $100,000?
We're going to get dechlorinated water to the food desert. And then we're going to make it wheelchair accessible so that people can come with strollers, wheelchairs, hover-rounds. You know, everybody can get on land and enjoy the experience of growing. Yeah.
It's fantastic. And you have a great partnership with all the people that you're involved with.
The best.
Yes, yes. And, you know, it's a question I always hated asking as a reporter, but how does this feel?
amazing.
Yeah.
Like halfway between crying and laughing, and I need a nap, and I'm really hungry again, and I could use a glass of water. That's how it feels. It's
Well, we
awesome.
can get you a glass. Well, water is what this is going to do for you. And
Exactly.
water is what you need. How crazy is that? Any chance we can get you to kind of look at the camera, all of you, and thank somebody tonight or some organization that might be on your mind right now?
Impact.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you, Impact.
Thank you, Impact.
Thank you, Impact 100. So wonderful. Woo. Mwah, mwah. We love you. Come over. Get some zucchini.
Please join me in welcoming Dr. Sandra Jones, Interim Executive Director of Victory Gardens Initiative.
Well, if you notice, I wasn't in the video. I am the new interim executive director of Victory Garden Initiative, and Michelle Dobbs, who unfortunately left us for greener pastures. So let me add my thanks to Impact 100 for this wonderful gift, for this wonderful support that you've given, so that we can fulfill the mission of the Victory Garden Initiative. We are really just getting started with our project, although our homestead project is ongoing. We're in the process of hiring a sustainability fellow who can help us, guide us through all that it will take to do the ADA access ramp for the urban garden, the urban farm. And we also want to do some more research, do a feasibility study in what all that entails. So that's where we are with that project. But I want to tell you a little bit about the Victory Garden Initiative. Some of you might know. It's an 1.5 acre urban farm that sits in the heart of Milwaukee's African American community, in the Harambee community. Harambee extends from Capitol Drive to North Avenue, from Holton Street to 27th Street. In that entire area, there are no major grocery stores. No major grocery stores. And a food desert is defined as an area that, that does not have a food market in within 10-minute walking distance, and that's Harambee. It's one of the poorest neighborhoods in the city, the poorest. Most of the folks in that area, I shouldn't say most, many don't have cars, so that access to fresh, healthy, nutritious food is greatly lacking in the community. So it is Victory Garden Initiative's mission to do what we can to provide that food to the people who need it the most. But not only that, not only to grow the food, and I'm going to tell you about the farm in just a minute, not only to grow the food, but to teach people how to grow their own food. So the programs that we institute are designed to do that. But, you know, first I want to extend an invitation. Please come by the farm. There is nothing like walking through that 1.5 acre. Let me just add this. We produce 80 tons of organic compost on our farm. And I just learned that compost actually takes carbon out of the air. And so when you walk into that farm, you know, you just feel you have a feeling of ease, you know, pleasantness, of joy. And so I want to invite you all to come visit us, especially during the growing season. But some of the programs that we institute to help us along in our mission, our most important program, I think, is our youth education program. The YEP program, that's what we call it. And what we do is we go into MPS schools and we take our staff and our skills to teach children about nutritious food. We teach them how to grow it. So at River West Elementary, for example, we built 4 garden beds. And the kids in after-school programming, they work in those garden beds to grow their own food. We also have a chef in training program to teach them how to use that food, how to cook that food. In the summer, our youth summer program, we bring kids to the farm. We have a whole section on the farm that's available for youth education, where we teach children, again, how to grow, tend gardens, and that kind of thing. Over the years, we have worked with hundreds and hundreds of children in that manner through our programming. The other programs that we have is the You Pick program, which allows people, it's an acre and a half, all organic food, allows people to come in anytime, day or night, and pick the food that they need. And I'll tell you, one Sunday I was cooking something and I needed some kale, and I didn't have enough. So I jump in my car and I go up to the farm and I pick the kale that I need, and I go back and finish my meal. Well, that's available to everybody, And in a neighborhood like Harambee, it's so needed. And we grow everything, tomatoes, collard greens, kale, cucumbers, onions, and it's all organic. The other thing we do is we set up a farm stand where it's a pay what you can, or the way I say it is pay what you can, and if you can't pay, then take what you need. And very popular, and it's growing more and more popular to the people in the immediate neighborhood, which is so very important. One of the other programs that we have, and this is our biggie, is the annual Victory Garden Blitz, where we actually go out into the community, into the Milwaukee community, and build garden beds in people's backyards, at schools, in churchyards, organizations. And as of this year, 2022, we have constructed over 6,000 garden beds in the city of Milwaukee. Fill them all with organic soil, fresh organic soil, provided seeds, and also the training for people to help them understand how to grow, what things grow well together, how to tend the garden, and that kind of thing. And so in 2023, we're going to do our 15th annual, and I hope it's going to be bigger than ever. So I could talk all day, but I don't have all day about this program. But it's just so very important, especially with inflation, food costs the way they are. It's so very important to provide this. And one of the things that we want to work on for next year is, it's one thing to grow the food and have people to come get it, but we need to take this food to people who can't get there. So we're working on developing a much bigger distribution system where we actually grow the food and take it to the people in the places that need it. And with the support that you all have given us, that will make that work, that task, all the more realizable. So thank you again, and thank you for including us, for granting us your support, and for inviting me to be a part of the program tonight. Thank you very much.
Hi again. I was fortunate enough to be the Arts and Culture Committee Chair last year, so if there's anyone here from the Arts and Culture Committee, could you please stand up? We had many great applications to review, but we're ultimately most impressed by 88.9 Radio Milwaukee's project, Hyphen. Hyphen was our committee finalist. They received a merit award, and they are a brand-new urban alternative radio channel specific to Black artists right here in Milwaukee. So let's look at their video.
We got a great team. I'm just the guy behind the scene. We got Anthony. Yeah. We got Chris. We got DJ. We got our board member Lauren. I'm just here to try to make Milwaukee a better place for all, but especially my community.
You
That's what it
really
is.
have a moving, I mean, I think your mission is fantastic. And $5,000 is not anything to sneeze at, but you could come back for 100 next year.
I'm not. Put it this way, I want to tell these other organizations stories. That's our job.
So you've got 4 other organizations.
Yeah,
you
that's
can
my
tell the
job.
story
That's what we
tonight.
want to do. We want to amplify, and we want to reach as many people with everybody's mission on our station. So at the end of the day, it's a win-win for me.
Excellent. Anybody else have anything they'd like to add?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, how about a thank you?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure to welcome the new Executive Director of Radio Milwaukee, Maxie Jackson.
Good evening, everybody. I usually have more voice than this. I lost my voice over the week, and my wife has never been happy to have long conversations with me. I don't know what that is. I want to, first of all, say, after what Tariq said, I feel like I don't need to say anything more. We really are about amplifying the stories of the community and the works that are being done in the Black community in particular with respect to Hyphen. But I do have a few words I want to share. I want to, first and foremost, thank the women of Impact 100. They are really matriarchs of Greater Milwaukee, who no doubt recognize the power of feminine energy to balance and to nurture. And so I want to thank you for your contribution to our work. I also want to pay homage to our colleagues in public service, those who've been honored tonight. Amazing stories of work that's being done in the community, and I'm glad to know that we're in a community that so robustly serves those in need. I never work these right. At Radio Milwaukee, our public service is primarily articulated and manifested through our work on the air. Of course, many of the folks that you've heard today do their work on the ground. They're really the grassroots warriors. Our work is done through the air. As Gil Scott-Heron, the great poet and singer, once said, the revolution will not be televised. And so at Radio Milwaukee, we see our space as an opportunity to be revolutionary in the work that we do. Hyphen is our urban alternative service. It aims to revolutionize the impact through radio, our mobile app, and in our work in the community. The Women of Impact 100 are funding a revolution. And if you didn't know that, please let me explain a little bit. I want to remind everyone that it was a woman, Sophia Alt, who introduced the alphabets to perhaps the greatest orator of the 19th century, Frederick Douglass. Hers was a revolutionary act. Douglass was enslaved, and resourcing an African with literacy was against the law. Without knowing, she was participating in what is called collective process. She provided an avenue on which Douglass could thrive. Collective process, as defined by Reverend Angel Kyoto Williams, begins with meeting those who suffer where they are and creating a pathway and avenue for the suffering to have an equitable voice and access towards liberation. Her act of creating a pathway to literacy enabled Douglass to hold an equitable position in the abolitionist movement. He too understood the power of media. At his time, still photography and writing to move the masses. Collective process informs us there is no liberation that is worthy of our life force if that liberation isn't available to everyone in their unique and distinct terms. The Women of Impact 100, through their individual and collective generosity, are contributing to a public service media targeting those who most are harmed by the pathology of generational, institutional, structural, and systemic segregation, inequality, and disenfranchisement here in Milwaukee. Your financial support contributes to our ability to engage in deep listening to the community, to ascertain needs, wants, and aspirations of the Black communities of Greater Milwaukee, but most importantly, to act on the impulse to relieve that suffering. Hyphen is a service of Radio Milwaukee, that utopian radio station funded to unify our community. But we can't unify the community if some of us are not on equal ground. And so we value equity over equality. And we recognize that it's important that if we want to realize this notion of all boats rise, that we make sure everyone has a boat in the first place. To the Women of Impact 100, I want to thank you. Again, to those in public service, keep doing what you're doing. You certainly inspire us, so thank you.
Thank you, chairs, and thank you, grant recipients. That was, if you are considering joining a grant committee after these presentations, I hope that you will absolutely do that. And Beth has already pointed out, it'll be in January. It's a tight 1 week opening, so, but we'll blast you with emails, I'm sure, so don't worry about that. And if you have any questions tonight, find one of the chairs or one of us, and we'll answer anything for you. So now it's time to join hands with our other favorite committee, membership. We wouldn't be standing here, and our nonprofit friends wouldn't be here tonight if we didn't have the membership team working overtime to enlist new members and renew current memberships. The more members, the more grants we are able to award. So on that note, please welcome Sue Bechtel and Lois Pekarsky from Impact's membership team.
Hi, my name is Lois Pekarsky, and my first Impact 100 event was this event last year. I made my contribution right after the event and voted in my first awards ceremony in June. After joining, I started coming to the various Impact 100 presentations and events held over the last year. As a matter of fact, I think I've attended all of them. Pretty sure. Before coming to these events, I would have never thought to describe my life as privileged. But as a result of attending, I now realize I am. We didn't have the biggest or the nicest home. I didn't have the latest or the trendiest clothes, but I always had a roof over my head, and I always had clean clothes to wear. I always felt safe in my home, my neighborhood, my school, or anywhere my friends and I chose to hang out. I've never been afraid of anybody in my family, or a boyfriend, or my spouse. I've only interacted with the police for speeding tickets. I've never abused alcohol or drugs, and nor have I had anyone in my sphere that has. I've never gone hungry unless you count one of my million diets that I'm on. So I thank the Impact 100 volunteers for putting together such eye-opening and thought-provoking programs, and I anxiously look forward to the events of the upcoming year. I'm ashamed to say that I didn't have a good understanding of the needs and the wants of the greater Milwaukee community. By the way, I also want to share that my husband Bob has attended many of the events with me. I know it's usually girls' night out, but he comes along, and I have to say it really makes for some interesting conversation in the car ride home. In closing, I want to say that joining the Impact 100 community has been an enriching experience. I highly recommend it, and I re-upped for next year. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Sue Bechtel, and I was with Lois 1 year ago at that event, the Helping Hands event that you're here at tonight. And as you can see, this is a great introduction to this amazing organization. Collective giving through Impact 100 has been more meaningful than any giving I have ever done. What initially appealed to me was being able to see firsthand the results of my giving versus sending the usual donations off in the mail or clicking send on my computer. I always knew in my heart that I was doing good, but I never had a personal connection to these charities beyond making that initial donation. At our Beyond the Headlines and Global Day of Impact events, like as Lois was referring to, we learn about the issues and challenges facing others, either local, at the state level, and beyond, that affect all of us, whether directly or indirectly. Some issues were on my radar, others were not. Impact 100 events are always eye-opening and educational. At our annual awards celebration, each one of our votes will help decide on our grant and merit awards recipients. It's an amazing night full of energy and excitement, and something I look forward to next year. I can't wait. Our new member night was another highlight for me. We are invited to meet other new members and learn more about this organization from one of our founders, board members, committee chairs, and others who took the time to make us feel welcomed and appreciated. I've met some really great people here, both within and outside of the organization. This includes current grant recipients, merit award recipients, and others from area nonprofits who come to our events to learn more about us. For me, it's the face-to-face conversations that I love the most. I had no idea how many nonprofits were right here in our area and how many opportunities there are to volunteer. As you think about whether you will join Impact 100, here is something to consider. In the words of Winston Churchill, we make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give. Thank you.
Thanks, Sue and Lois, for sharing what membership means to you. And also, how about our 2022 grantees? Let's give them a round of applause. There's a lot of work that goes into tonight, specifically on programming, and Carla Cummings in the back, she's kind of our quarterback of the event. She does a fantastic job along with Louise Berg at 1111, but watching our grantees receive the check and getting that interview, that is genius, Carla. You're getting a raise. What a fantastic event tonight. I mean, Lois and Sue just said it perfectly. We continue to learn, we continue to meet new organizations, we continue to grow. Our grant recipients are leaving here tonight with their arms full of wish list items, but we're really leaving here more educated and informed community members. The first step to extending a helping hand to wonderful nonprofits like the ones you heard from tonight is to join Impact 100. And join us on June 6th for our annual awards celebration, where we'll meet 5 new finalists, and you'll get to cast your vote to give more $100,000 grants. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season, and remember to extend a helping hand. Thank you.